Say?
Second,
Tell me again.
the police officer told me we have to offload all the luggage
Okay.
and to search everything
Okay.
of your luggage. I'm so sorry to say that.
But isn't that what you planned on doing from the get-go? Why didn't you guys search it before it went on the plane?
We need to talk about how the Carters quietly pulled off one of the cleanest power plays we've seen in years. Everything connects here. The long-running Rhymir situation, Nicki Minaj spiraling online, and Beyoncé lining up Act 3. None of this is random. This is strategy. This is chess, not checkers. So let's start at the foundation, because this situation has been building for a long time. For anyone who needs a refresher, Rhymir Satterthwaite has been claiming for over a decade that Jay-Z is his biological father. According to public records and interviews, the alleged relationship happened in the early 1990s before Jay-Z became a global figure. Rhymir's mother, Wanda, went on camera in 2016 backing her son's claims years before she passed away in 2019. That detail matters because this wasn't a story that suddenly appeared after fame and money were involved. And here's the part people keep overlooking. Rhymir was never asking for a payout. He wasn't demanding millions or chasing attention. He consistently said he wanted one thing only: a DNA test, a basic cheek swab. That's it. Jay-Z's legal team responded by calling the claims fabricated and long-standing, refusing to take the test, which made people ask the obvious question. If it's not true, why not just clear it up and move on? Because the math still doesn't add up. In 2023, Rhymir filed a federal lawsuit to push the issue forward. Then in July 2025, he suddenly dropped the case. Shortly after, he posted a cryptic video saying there was a lot going on behind closed doors and that he had to play chess, not checkers. That raised eyebrows. Was there pressure? Was there a private agreement? Did someone step in behind the scenes? We may never get a clear answer because the legal fight shifted to his godmother, Lily Coley. She filed her own lawsuit accusing Jay-Z of using his influence and celebrity power to avoid DNA testing and responsibility. She also claimed that fighting this battle financially broke her. According to court filings, she said pursuing justice for her godson pushed her into bankruptcy. That's a serious allegation from someone who said she lost everything trying to be heard. Then came the ruling. In January 2026, a judge dismissed Coley's case with prejudice, meaning it can never be refiled. On top of that, she was ordered to pay Jay-Z over $119,000 in attorney fees. So not only did she lose the case, she now owes a billionaire money. The optics of that situation are hard to ignore. Jay-Z's team quickly called it the end of a campaign. But the timing raised questions, because while all of this was quietly happening in court, Nicki Minaj was publicly crashing out and dragging the Carter name into the spotlight. Nicki made herself a major problem for the Carter camp last year during her feud with Megan Thee Stallion, and Jay-Z ended up catching heat too.
Say?
Second,
Tell me again.
the police officer told me we have to offload all the luggage
Okay.
and to search everything
Okay.
of your luggage. I'm so sorry to say that.
But isn't that what you planned on doing from the get-go? Why didn't you guys search it before it went on the plane?
They did just a random quick check, but now they want to open
Why?
it. And first of all, because you filmed him, and he was like,
Because I filmed him.
yeah, he was like, he doesn't believe that you don't have more with you than you say.
No, he asked me, do I have any more in those purses? And I said no. And I asked him, where are my bags? They took my bags and put it on the plane before I could know what bags are on the plane.
I see.
Yeah. So.
I'm so sorry for that.
Okay, of course.
Things escalated after Nicki was arrested in Amsterdam during her Pink Friday 2 tour. She claimed the situation was orchestrated. She wrote, "They've been trying to stop me from coming to every show. They took my bags before I could see them, put it on the plane, now saying they're waiting on customs. This is what it looks like when people are paid big money to try to sabotage a tour after all else failed." Then YouTube commentator Storm Monroe added another layer, claiming he heard that Jay-Z allegedly had a mole inside Nicki's team, feeding information to Roc Nation. According to that claim, authorities supposedly knew about substances in her luggage before she even landed. If true, that would point to a coordinated setup meant to damage her tour with bad press. Nicki didn't stop there. She went straight for Jay-Z's money, accusing him of shorting her millions from the title deal. She said she was owed $8.9 million from the 2015 sale based on her 3% stake. According to Nicki, Jay-Z only offered her $1 million and wanted her to sign an NDA before receiving it. Her response was simple: keep the hush money. She said she was going to talk. Then she dragged the Rhymir situation back into the spotlight. Nicki reposted 50 Cent's post about Jay-Z's alleged son and wrote, "Jay-Z is trending because the judge has granted Rhymir's request to move forward with his case." And that's when all these storylines officially collided. Then things escalated even more online. Nicki Minaj reposted a claim saying a judge had ordered Jay-Z to respond to Rhymir's paternity lawsuit by July 18th, adding #Jay-Z and asking if that was why he had been trending earlier. She followed it with, "IDK to God be the glory." That post alone sent social media into a frenzy, even though the legal details were still being debated publicly. Back in October 2025, Nicki took things further by posting what she described as an open letter on Twitter. She wrote, "Dear Rhymir, I'm sorry that Camel framed you by putting things in your car." She added the word allegedly, but the accusations didn't stop there. She implied Jay-Z wanted him in prison, claiming he treats his enemies the same way. She mocked his appearance and accused him of investing in private prisons, suggesting he wanted Rhymir locked up to protect his image. Those were heavy claims, and once they were out there, they couldn't be pulled back. But this is where Nicki crossed a line that many people believe should never be crossed. She didn't just attack Jay-Z anymore. She started making comments that involved children. That's when things shifted. During Nicki's public back and forth with Cardi B, Cardi tweeted about Nicki allegedly making threatening comments involving her family. Nicki responded with insults and coded language that many felt went too far. Nicki wrote, "We are not fazed by botted tweets and bots in the comments. That's precisely why you broke." She then made personal insults about appearances and followed it with, "Let's talk about your kids today." That moment changed how the situation was viewed publicly. People interpreted some of her remarks as offensive and inappropriate, especially when children were mentioned in any capacity. Cardi later pushed back, accusing Nicki of hypocrisy and pointing out her own contradictions. The exchange got messy fast, and public sympathy began to shift. Even Beyoncé's mother, Tina Knowles, appeared to weigh in indirectly. She posted a message about feeling grateful to wake up knowing her loved ones stayed grounded while others lost control. The post didn't name names, but the message was clear enough that Nicki's fan base reacted aggressively, forcing her to edit the caption. The point had already landed. Solange also posted abstract and unsettling images on Instagram around the same time. Some fans interpreted them as symbolic warnings, others as coincidence, but the timing added to the tension. It was clear the Knowles-Carter circle had reached their limit. Now here's where everything connects. Beyoncé is preparing to release Act 3, the final chapter of her Renaissance trilogy. Fans are convinced it's coming in 2026, and there's growing talk that this could be her final studio album. If that's true, this isn't just another release, this is a legacy moment. Beyoncé just wrapped a tour that grossed over $300 million. She's consistently ranked among the greatest artists of all time. If this is her final musical chapter, she likely wants the focus on her work, not tabloid chaos. It's hard to imagine she'd welcome non-stop headlines about paternity lawsuits and online feuds overshadowing that moment. Look at the timeline. Rhymir drops his lawsuit quietly in July 2025 after hinting that things were happening behind closed doors. His godmother's case is dismissed with prejudice in January 2026, right as Act 3 is rumored to be approaching. The legal noise disappears almost overnight.
That allegedly Jay-Z and Roc Nation is behind this. Jay-Z and Roc Nation has been after Nicki for a while, especially after she released that song Bigfoot. But even long before then, there had been beef, which I did not realize was trying to get her arrested, but of course legally. That's why they waited till she was overseas to do this to her. Roc Nation wanted to make sure that when she got arrested or apprehended for whatever, because you know, in the industry, they can get you set up with all kinds of charges, all right? It said that they wanted to make sure her husband was not with her because her husband is her protection, which we know that. Nation is looking to bankrupt Nicki. And this is why there has been several stories planted about her being broke, going broke, or needing to constantly tour because she's close to being broke. So set up and sabotage. And if I was Nicki, I would fire my whole team. Fire the whole security team. There is a mole. Get rid of them all. There is a mole. Because now that I think about it, Roc Nation got Meg. The only competition that Nicki has is Meg. Let's keep it real. It ain't Lotto. It ain't Mocha Latte. What's the other rappers out here? There's nobody. It ain't Cardi. I know y'all wanted it to be Cardi. It ain't Cardi. She was absolutely set up. Also, Tory Lanez was supposed to sign the Roc Nation first, and the second option was Meg. See? But y'all remember when Tory Lanez's daddy said, "This is Roc Nation," we all thought he was crazy.
Meanwhile, industry insiders claim that Beyoncé and Roc Nation are done playing nice. According to whispers, not confirmations, Nicki may be facing serious industry pushback. The word is that whatever album Nicki releases next year could struggle commercially in ways she hasn't seen before. The Carters stayed silent for months while Nicki attacked them publicly. But once children were pulled into the narrative, everything changed. Now there are quiet rumors circulating in blind item circles. People speculate about private settlements, NDAs, and strategic timing meant to clear the path before Beyoncé's final chapter. None of this can be proven outright. What can be observed is a very convenient sequence of events that all seem to benefit one side at a very critical moment. Nicki Minaj spends months openly attacking the Carters. She repeatedly brings up the Rhymir situation. She pushes the conversation further and further until she crosses the one line people say, "You never cross," which is bringing up their children. Then, almost immediately after, a case that had been dragging on for more than 10 years gets shut down permanently. And the timing just happens to line up perfectly with Beyoncé preparing what many believe could be her final album rollout. Now, Nicki is allegedly facing industry-wide pushback. People are calling it a blackball. Shows are quieter, support looks thinner, industry relationships appear colder. On the surface, maybe none of this is connected. Maybe it's all coincidence. Maybe Rhymir's claims truly had no legal merit and the courts simply reached the end of the road. Maybe Nicki really is spiraling on her own and no one is working behind the scenes to slow her down. But when you're talking about the Carters, coincidence always feels harder to believe. This is one of the most powerful couples in music history. They didn't just build careers, they built an empire. And that empire has always been rooted in tight control of their narrative and relentless protection of their image. The truth is, none of us actually know whether Jay-Z is Rhymir's biological father. That DNA test never happened, and at this point, it probably never will. If money changed hands, if private agreements were made, if pressure was applied behind closed doors, there will likely never be proof. These kinds of moves don't leave receipts. What we can see, though, is the outcome. The Carters walk away with their image intact, the legal noise disappears, the critics quiet down, and the stage is cleared for Beyoncé's potential grand finale, free from distractions and controversy. Meanwhile, Nicki appears to be learning a lesson that others in the industry have learned the hard way. You can question Jay-Z's business, you can critique his music, you can even bring up his alleged past. But once Beyoncé's name, and especially her children, are pulled into the conversation, the rules change. Nicki herself once said in an old clip that speaking on someone's kids makes you a clown. By her own definition, that moment may have sealed her fate. And when Act 3 drops with nothing but polished visuals, critical praise, and Beyoncé-level excellence, followed by what many believe could be a quiet, graceful retirement moment, people will look back and say the same thing they always say. The machine worked exactly the way it was designed to. At the end of the day, this whole situation leaves more questions than answers, not because people aren't paying attention, but because power rarely moves in ways that are loud or obvious. When you're dealing with artists and executives at the highest level, things don't play out on camera or in courtrooms for long. They happen quietly, through lawyers, contracts, and conversations that never become public. What stands out most isn't just what happened, but how neatly everything wrapped up. A decade-long legal battle ends without a definitive resolution. A supporting case gets dismissed permanently. Online attacks escalate, then suddenly stop. And right as that noise disappears, one of the most anticipated albums of the decade is preparing to enter the spotlight with minimal distraction. That doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing. It doesn't mean crimes were committed. It doesn't mean secret deals can be proven. But it does show how influence works when people have the resources to protect their brand at every level. Silence becomes a tool. Time becomes leverage. Exhaustion becomes strategy. Beyoncé's position in this moment is unique. She's not just another artist releasing music. She's closing a chapter. The Renaissance trilogy has been framed as a cultural statement, not just an album cycle. If Act 3 really is the final installment, then everything surrounding it matters. The visuals, the narrative, the absence of chaos. Legacy doesn't just happen, it's curated. Jay-Z has always played the long game. From business moves to public silence, his approach has never been reactive. He lets storms pass, he lets people talk, and eventually, the attention moves elsewhere. Whether that approach is admired or criticized depends on who's watching, but it's undeniably effective. Nicki Minaj's role in all of this feels different. Her frustration looks raw. Her posts felt emotional, not strategic. That doesn't make her wrong. It makes her human. But the industry doesn't reward emotion. It rewards control. And when frustration spills into public spaces, especially involving families, it tends to isolate the person expressing it. If there is one clear pattern here, it's this. The industry protects stability over spectacle. Beyoncé represents stability, longevity, and profitability. Anything that threatens that, intentionally or not, will be pushed to the margins. Not with announcements, not with statements, just with silence and distance. Fans want certainty, they want proof, they want DNA tests, documents, and confessions. But the reality is, most stories at this level never get closure. They fade out, they get buried under new releases, new controversies, and new distractions. Over time, the unanswered questions become footnotes instead of headlines. So where does that leave us? It leaves us watching outcomes instead of arguments. The Carters remain untouched publicly. Beyoncé prepares to solidify her legacy. The legal noise disappears. Nicki faces an uncertain next chapter. And the truth, whatever it may be, stays locked behind doors will never open. That doesn't mean people are wrong for questioning the timing. It doesn't mean speculation is invalid. It just means the system is built to withstand it. This is how empires survive. Not by proving every accusation false, but by outlasting them. Years from now, when people look back at this moment, they probably won't remember the details of the lawsuits or the tweets. They'll remember the music, they'll remember the tour numbers, they'll remember the visuals, and they'll remember how clean the exit looked. And that might be the biggest takeaway of all. In this industry, winning doesn't always mean being right. It means being protected, prepared, and positioned. The Carters understood that long before this situation ever began.